What is going on, everyone? Thanks for checking into our latest TDR Trade to Black podcast. I'm your host, Shad Dale's got a good show here coming up. We're going to take a quick recap of the Verano earnings that were announced, plus the lawsuit that they settled with Varrell. We'll discuss that with Anthony, as well as some interesting news out of Colombia where they legalized medical cannabis flower. What does this mean for the country and really for the overall sector? And last but not most important, it is the most important, I should say, Mike Tyson, Ryan Burke, they actually were in PA today in Harrisburg, at the state Senate meeting with senators. We're going to talk to their president, Burke, and get a feedback on some of the discussions that were discussed today and some of the momentum that was building in the state capitol. And if adult use is on the horizon in Pennsylvania. So with that, welcome in AV here on a Wednesday. Good to see you. Good to see you.
Yeah, good, quiet Wednesday. Got a bunch of Verano news to start the day. And then we now have a little bit of a quiet period until earnings roll out on the 4th, when it's just going to be an absolute avalanche of earnings, November 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th.
Yes. Well, we're going to go off script because I see him in the background right now at the airport. And let's bring in actually the president of Tyson 2.0. He goes by, his name is Ryan Burke, goes by Burke. Burke, good to see you. How are things, sir?
Things are going great, Shad. Thanks for having me on.
Good to see you. Well, it's been all over Twitter. I know you and the team were obviously at the state Senate in Harrisburg today. So first question is that what was the whole goal, and was, I guess, mission accomplished today? What was some of the dialogue that you learned while you were there?
Yeah, today's goal was to, really get in touch with the Republican legislature in Harrisburg. They are the ones that need the most influence as it relates to enacting policy change to get to recreational within Pennsylvania. It was a lot of fun. It was highly impactful. The platform that Mike brings and the attention that he's able to garner just by being in the room is substantial, as we all know. And being able to speak to these issues in a way that what sounds like this legislature hasn't had the opportunity to hear, we found it to be quite effective. And sorry for the background noise. I am in the airport.
No, that's fine. But when you say some of the things that they haven't heard, like what were you communicating to them?
Yeah, I think quickly we realized that a lot of these, state senators. We even sat down with Governor Shapiro. At least on the Republican side of things, their caucuses are deeply red, right? And you at least I forget that often when I think about Pennsylvania. I think about Philly. I think about Pittsburgh, right? But the majority of the state is deeply red, right? You have Amish country, you have very religious people, you have very elderly people, et cetera, and they represent that caucus. So talking about cannabis in a way, one, setting the stage with how it has changed Mike's life positively. Two, another big subject was the concept of some form of federal policy reform. It seems like Pennsylvania, at least with the Republicans, they're kind of waiting for that to happen in order to feel comfortable with moving in any which direction. But the conversations are very open. They were very willing to share, some of their, cautious restrictions that, go into writing laws. And they were also very adamant about the fact that, they know that medical was rolled out improperly. And so they're trying not to make what they consider a bad situation worse. But it was still quite an effective day, and I think we definitely got a lot of different attention to the issues at hand that Pennsylvanians need to face, especially when it comes to writing these laws and hopefully voting on them very soon.
Were they aware, or were they in line with the fact that the adult use bill would allow for a generous portion of tax revenue to be generated that would help the states?
Certainly.
Current deficit that they're operating at?
Yeah, certainly. That was obviously a major talking point, was the opportunity to participate in that tax revenue for a state that desperately needs it. I think a lot of the concerns that these policymakers are looking at go into the broader range of concerns that I think the federal government continues to grapple with, which is, how do we do this the right way, right? How do we ensure that we have on the ground DUI protocols in place for people that are driving under the influence of cannabis? How do we ensure that someone that operates a forklift or heavy machinery in their job, what is the protocol of when they can consume cannabis last before they can, continue to do their work functions? But I think that these issues need to be tackled concurrently, both at state and federal level, obviously. And, Shad, I speak with you about it on almost a daily basis, like where we're at with that.
Yeah.
But I reminded that these politicians in Pennsylvania, I reminded them that they have an interesting, advantageous position, the way that I see it, having no recreational program in place and having the opportunity to look at other states that have kind of left the blueprint, and especially have left a closet full of skeletons of what to do differently. More importantly, and almost having a sweet spot opportunity and a window to create a blueprint for the federal government and how they roll this out, right? Because, from state to state, you can point out its flaws, and some states have too many to even count. But that's what's exciting about this. And it seems to me, based off of today, that they are looking at this as a bipartisan issue. They are listening to each other. They are having these conversations, what sounds like on a daily basis, because they know how important it is to Pennsylvanians as a whole, and largely their cash position when it comes to taxable revenue.
Yeah.
Did they give any sort of inclination as to when they think they're actually going to get this budget done? Because if in the event that they are, let's say, waiting for signs from the feds in terms of reform, it might be, we don't have a time frame in terms of federal reform, and they need to get that budget done. So do you think that they could pass on adult use for right now, get the budget done, and then revisit it, let's say sometime in 2026 after we see some sort of federal reform?
A handful of the senators that we were able to sit down with are worried about building the plane or fixing it as it's already in the sky. And they pointed to several states that rolled out recreational programs that immediately needed to change them due to X, Y, or Z. So that's a tough question to answer. I don't think we got that answer today as far as how imminent this is for the state of Pennsylvania. But the good sign is that, they're definitely listening and they're working on it. So no one has the crystal ball as to when this Trump administration is going to knock that first domino over and getting cannabis rescheduled. But it seems to me that a state like Pennsylvania is looking at that as a huge moniker in order to, move their programs forward successfully.
Makes sense.
Yeah, we've talked about this a lot, Burke, where, we have lots of conversations. I'm sure you saw Michael Bronstein today from Attach, and, we've talked about when does the budget get done, all these sorts of things. But it's just another example that we need some direction from the federal government, because I think a state like this would move quickly if there was some sort of direction, right?
Yeah, most certainly. And that's the dangerous chicken or the egg that we're looking at.
I know.
And it's not just Pennsylvania, right? So yeah, it's anyone's guess. No one has that crystal ball, but we're still very confident that this is going to happen soon. It hasn't happened as quickly as we would all have liked.
Yeah, I get
should have
it.
happened much longer than this current administration, but we're still very confident.
So if I were to place a bet on the over 20, how many times people ask you per day when you think rescheduling is going to happen? I would say the over 20. Is that accurate?
Yeah, but for you, Shad, that's skewed because I think you asked me about 22 times a day. So you already knew that the answer was yes.
Got it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, we're paying attention closely, but listen, great work today. And I know you're at the airport. You got to fly out, but glad that you got a chance to log on here for about 10 minutes here today, just to give us an update. And yeah, it makes sense with everything that you're saying. But as I say, it's good to have these stories now, set the framework in place, because when there is some direction from the federal government, these are the types of conversations that you have today that are going to be very beneficial, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We were honored to be there, and we'll continue to do all that hard work and, make sure that people are listening, because we've got a very influential person that's at the top of this company. So
yeah, absolutely.
It's an honor to be a part of it.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. Great work. Okay, let's keep in touch. Thanks, Burke.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate the time.
All right. Take care. And yeah, just these are types of things. This is the due diligence. This is the legwork that's got to be done. But, you saw the point. Like, I think there was probably a lot of good dialogue that was taking place and some key things that were probably communicated to a number of senators. More importantly, I think the takeaway there, again, is just another reason that we need some direction from the federal government, because, man, oh, man, if that were to happen, you got an election coming up in Virginia. You could see some direction from the it's good to see it's a bipartisan issue and that, both sides are talking about this. But, man, what an incredible opportunity it would be if we got some direction from the federal government, because you'd look at states like PA and VA that look like they're poised to flip once there's, like I said,
I think VA's flipping regardless.
It's flipping regardless.
VA's not gonna wait for the feds to flip. I mean, if there's probably going to be there's more than likely going to be a Democratic governor coming in with Abigail Spanberger. She's going to flip that state adult use with haste.
I agree.
From what I've heard from people that I've talked to, very close to the matter. It is interesting what he was saying, because it makes me think that a lot of the politicians in PA are looking closely at Ohio, which has been a mess. They passed 2.
Good point.
They softly rolled out adult use, and it's been a mess ever since. Granted, the market's done $3.1 billion in revenue since implementation, which is great. But at the same time, they still don't have true adult use rolled out. They're still looking to overhaul and change the tax codes that were brought in with 2. Ohio has not been a clear opening by any means with their rollout of adult use. So PA senators lead me to believe that that's where they're looking right now in terms of a smooth rollout or what not to do.
Also interesting that they're trying to build this out, if it does pass, to have a blueprint for the federal government on how this would all work, which I thought was interesting too. But in some way, it's in some ways
a little bit.
In what way?
Because the federal government's not going to roll out adult use cannabis. This is going to stay a state's issue. I can see it. I don't ever see that. I don't ever see this not being a state's issue in terms of governance within the states. Like, there might be certain mandates and certain classifications that we get from the feds, but I don't think there's ever going to be a state's policy has kind of been rolled back. We're going to roll out a federal policy, and that's what you're going to be governed by, because alcohol is not even done like that. Alcohol is done on the state level as well.
Ohio and PA have always been rivals. Yes, they have, Michael. Very good point. In some ways too, though, like, I don't want to say it's frustrating, but man, oh man, it would be great to have PA to get this across the line. Because like you said, in VA, regardless of what happens from the federal level, this is getting flipped to adult use. Spanberger does indeed win. So it's just like, why can't
she's up by 9 points?
Yeah. Why can't
in the polls?
Why can't the state Senate and PA have the same approach? But
it's what we've been saying. We've been saying this all along. We've said it with Bronstein probably a dozen times this year alone. Schedule 1 is a very big problem for politicians.
Yeah.
You are co-signing and you are putting your name, whether you like it or not, within reach of a substance that is sitting there next to heroin, fentanyl, and deadly, nasty things. That cannot be overstated. The fact that these politicians do not want to do anything that is related to a Schedule 1 narcotic.
I know.
In the eyes of the feds.
Yeah. Well said. There's no other way around it, and that's just how it's viewed. They probably look at the tax dollars that are being generated, but like you said, there is a Schedule 1 stigma attached to it, and that's what keeps people hesitant. But man, oh man, these laws just need to be modernized, as we continue to say, show after show after show. All right, let's get into some of the headlines and head down south to Latin America, where Colombia, they just legalized domestic sale of cannabis flower. Yes, they've been exporting this for years, but now it can be sold within the country. Why is this important? And is there something I'm missing here? Like, yes, the title seems rather interesting, but why is this big news? And what does it mean, I guess, for the industry, you think?
It's a very large medical market that's going to come online. I mean, we've had medical cannabis companies down there for some time now. I mean, I think we had Clever Leaves, Blueberries.
Yep.
There's a bunch of them that were
Pharmacelio. Does that ring a bell?
Yeah. Pharmaciello. And who was the other one? The one that you actually went to? Chiron. Chiron.
They're not around anymore.
Not around anymore, but still, they were big grows in Colombia. South America is a great place to grow cannabis at low cost. I think you're going to see all of the South American countries come around and embrace medical marijuana. It is a low-cost alternative to pharmaceuticals.
Yep.
That is a very, very low-cost product in that jurisdiction. This is just another domino to fall. It's great to see, and like I said, it's just another country that's getting it right.
Yeah. Renato, Chiron, yes, it's defunct, right? And
they're out of business.
My first contract that I signed when I started working with this company, I had to do some filming and I went down to Bogota. But yeah, what I learned down there was that there's no influence from Big Pharma down there, but they have a huge opioid crisis that's going on there. So I can understand probably why. It's just unfortunate it had to take this long. But regardless of the timeline, it's been announced. And probably to your point, Anthony, they start looking at different alternatives and they're starting to modernize their laws as well. But yeah, good to see. Very passionate country, to say the least. But Chiron Life Sciences, man, oh man. Who's Vicente Fox, former president of Mexico?
I was going to say it was Alvaro.
Alvaro was the CEO, but I'm saying Chris Naparwa, that was the gentleman I used to speak with. I think he was the president of the company at the time. But cool city. Well, you were just in Colombia actually last weekend. So
yeah, I got
this. Yeah. It's called, with Decree 1138, pharmacies can now dispense psychoactive cannabis flower to patients with a valid prescription. So this isn't just policy alignment. It's a strategic collaboration. So onwards and upwards for Colombia. It's good to see. But like you said, could have a domino effect on other Latin American countries down in South America, which is good.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's get into some interesting news regarding Verano Holdings. I'm looking at some of the stuff right here, but their Q numbers, they just dropped. Revenue held steady. Margins definitely took a hit. Adjusted EBITDA fell from 33% in Q2 to 26% in the quarter. And net losses, well, they definitely increased. But we all know in the cannabis industry, Q3 tends to be the lighter quarter of all quarters throughout the year. What's your takeaway from this? You're reading... Well, you got to read into this, but, we're obviously going to have George on the next week or so to talk more about some of these latest numbers.
Yeah, I mean, it was the quarter was soft. You saw degradation in all of the margins. At the margin, it wasn't a very pretty quarter.
Yeah.
Top line was down 6% year over year. It was flat Q over Q. George had a lot to say about product innovation and things that they're doing in the grows and ways that they're going to start to get these numbers trending to the upside. They guided up actually on EBITDA. So you should see a pop in EBITDA Q over Q from Q3 to Q4. And you don't really get a lot of insight into their numbers anymore due to them not breaking down the states. I would have to assume some of this is softness in Florida. Pricing has been soft in Florida. They have a massive footprint in Florida and derive a lot of their revenue from Florida. We're going to have George on next Monday or Tuesday to deep dive through the earnings. So, I'll obviously have some questions for him lined up, but the stock did well today. The stock closed in the green.
Who would have thought it was up?
Yeah. The bigger thing was the settlement of the lawsuit with Vireo, which I know that we're going to talk about next, but that was a monkey to get off their back. There were a lot of people that surmised that this was going to be a nine-figure suit that settled. They settled it for $1 million in cash and a $9 million building.
Think about that. About that.
People were worried that, I think they were pursuing $800 million in damages. Like, they just got off pretty much scot-free.
Think about that. A 9 number figure, and that's what you end up settling with.
Yeah. But this was good. This might be actually why the stock rallied today.
Yeah,
because this was uncertainty. This lawsuit could have sucked. If this lawsuit was a $40 million settlement, like that's a big number.
You look at Verano too, the way their share price has performed, even like as you've seen a little bit of pullback in the industry here over the last couple of weeks, but it's held strong. So you're right. It was up 5.22% today.
You got a company that's doing 800 million top line that's trading at a $480 million market cap. Granted, cannabis company, it finished up 5.2%. It's back over $500 million market cap. And they're trending in the right direction.
Good point, Johnny. Weed is so cheap. Everything's gone up. Food, meat, gas, rent, electricity. Cannabis goes down in price. LOL. Yeah, good point. George actually told us last time he was on to talk about her previous earnings. He talked about automation, cost discipline, SG&A down 13% year over year. So that's real execution. You can say that. Wholesale revenue jumped 12% sequentially. So that's a reversal from the Q2 softness. And it suggests that their B2B channels are definitely stabilizing. But the widening net loss obviously was big. And like you said, we'll talk more about George based off of that. Do we have a date yet confirmed for next week with
Monday or Tuesday?
Monday
we got to email Steve and get him on the schedule. But yeah, it's going to be next Monday or Tuesday. So preferably next Monday. Okay. And then also, I mean, on the tails of that, we'll have Boris on next week. We'll have Micah from Leaf Brands. We'll have Jason Wild and Ziad coming on. Anthony Caniglio. We should have, I think we got 8 or 10 earnings calls lined up for next week. So it should be a pretty busy week in terms of who we're having on.
Arn's our producer. If you're listening to the background, get ready, buddy. You're going to be doing a lot of editing over the next 7 days or so. But just to let everybody know, that will definitely be part of we're not going to be putting any of this stuff behind our paywall. But thank you again for all the people that are TDR Plus members. And we'll have some updates on some of the content we're going to have for you later this week. But we got some good stuff in the works.
Oh, Luke too, from Canopy.
Luke, next Friday or the week after. We do have Luke confirmed. And then the following week, whatever date that we confirm with Luke Irishman, why am I drawing a blank? CUSA Brooks is going to be coming on a week afterwards. So that's been confirmed. We just don't know the actual dates yet. But going back to that lawsuit, yeah, you weren't kidding. That's a 9-number figure. $413 million merger. Lawsuit, one seeking damages of $861 million.
Which was crazy from the onset.
So
there were several talking heads on Twitter that were Vireo shareholders that for a while were prognosticating that it was going to be somewhere in the 9-figure range that it gets settled. Yeah, and all said and done, 10 million. So kudos to the Verano legal team for getting that settled. And it is a good thing to get off of their back because that litigation was always just waiting in the wings in terms of uncertainty around the name.
We're firing along here. We're 23 minutes in and we pretty much covered up all the topics. How's everybody feeling? Open up the dialogue now. This is the part of the if you're this a radio show, let's take your calls. Anybody got any comments, any questions they want us to reach out with? Let us know right now. Love to get you. TDR Traded Black Podcast presented by Dutchie. I am your host, Shad Dales, along with Anthony Varrell. And I will let you know as well, we've concluded our marketing program with Morgan & Morgan. So you won't see Morgan & Morgan ads, on the live stream as much anymore. So I know some of you have been commenting, but we're all good pertaining to that. So all is good. Glass House
is this back the part where are they?
What do we hear? The Irishman? Did I miss that? Check that out. I don't know if you guys saw, but I did a TDR Cannabis in 5 yesterday. But all the states that legalize medical cannabis, the data that's coming out when you see the reduction in opioid addiction is like mind-boggling. Did you see that story that Tom posted and reported on over at Marijuana Moment? I thought that was an eye-opener.
I did. I did. It was
like
the devil's in the details when it comes to cannabis. There's nothing really stopping why this plant shouldn't be Schedule 3 at a minimum.
Yeah. Thoughts on stocks going below book value again? Well, look,
I don't want to comment on stock price. Every time I comment on stock price, people get up in arms about it. So
yeah,
it's Mitch, if you give anybody an honest answer around here anymore, they think you're either a conspiracy theorist, you're shorting, or whatever. People around here just want cheerleaders.
Mitch, just to give you an idea, like what we're doing right now is we're trying to dig up any information, anything we're hearing on the federal level and what could be happening next. Like, look, we all understand there was probably a 6 to 8 week window where there was rumors about, hold on, let me just finish, about rescheduling and happening. And yes, that's dried up. And because of that momentum gone, we're now at this stage where it's just like, okay, we sit here and we wait. And we all know in this industry, when we wait, we start to speculate and fear doubt, which I totally understand. So just to let everybody know, we're trying to do whatever we can through our network to get through to the right people to hear some sort of feedback on what's going on. So some's positive, some's negative, but the reality is this, is that it's just, as Burke continues to say in the interview that we said, and like he said, I could probably call him every single day to find out what's the latest, but you'd be surprised. There's certain things that even a person like Mike Tyson can have access to, and there's also certain information he's not having access to, and that's just the truth. But we don't know. So anyway, what were you going to say? I see Tom saying any.
That was a great topic by Tom. By the way, I've never shorted Tilray. I bought Tilray. I sold Tilray. I've never shorted Tilray. The Rand Paul thing yesterday was quite interesting. It was a call with one of the hemp organizations, and Rand Paul basically pled his case as to why the hemp ban should not take effect. He wants it to go under a government study that would be, I think, somewhere between a 12 to 18 month period where they study the market. They come up with a solution as to how the market should be governed. The biggest takeaway there was Rand Paul said that he was willing to go to the lengths of keeping the government shut down if that language to ban hemp was still contained in the CR. No one's ever done that for the cannabis industry. Meanwhile, cannabis is hemp. At the same time, I wish he had the same fervor and conviction that he does for the hemp industry as he does the state-run cannabis industry, as they're pretty much analogous. And at the same time, the language that they were using was very interesting as well, because they are framing hemp as an agricultural product.
Yes.
On the grand stage.
Yes, they are
leaning into the farmers. They're leaning into hemp being an agricultural product. Maybe it's time that we classified cannabis as an agricultural product in our messaging and in our language, and maybe we'd get further than we are right now.
Done. Let's start doing it right now. The big ag report. What do you think? All right, that just went nowhere. I'll just stop talking. So the hemp industry and farmers of America, to answer your question, the Dank Informer, Brett Worley set up a call with us. We had a conversation with one of the representatives yesterday, and we did not speak directly with Brett. So my apologies if I steered you guys in the wrong direction. I thought I was going to be speaking to him, but we did speak to some people over there. I don't know what to think of this. You know, if there's a lot of stuff, there needs to be a lot of education on a lot of fronts right now. And even with certain people that are actually working within the actual industry itself. And it's a touchy subject right now because, we're being communicated that we need to get rid of these bad actors, like Michael Bronstein has said. But what is the information that's getting filtered down from the top? Like, if you're actually going to do that, then you need to follow through and really define what a bad actor is. And on paper,
a bad actor is someone that's selling synthetics and someone that's selling non-compliant THCA flower.
Right.
That's easy. Right. Those are the bad actors. If the hemp industry today got rid of THCA flower and got rid of synthetic vapes, it would clean up 90% of the problems and 90% of the objections that people have, not even just people in the state-run cannabis industry, but people at large. That would clean it up immensely. And those are very, very big money makers for the market participants that are in the hemp industry. However, that is 99% of the nefarious activity. It's not coming from companies like Cornbread or Can Trip or even Hometown Hero. I mean, most of their stuff, 99% of it is compliant Delta 9 and Delta 8 THC derived products. It's the guys that are selling all the bullshit that's in gas stations, the guys that are selling THCA flower on Twitter that's inverted and or illicit product. Those are the guys that need to get out of the market. And until they leave or until they are regulated out of existence, those bad actors aren't going anywhere. And they'll still have that smear on their name.
This is getting blurred more because that seems like common sense. But what we can see right now that's going on is that the policymakers, the lawmakers are definitely being lobbied by this group right now. There's a lot of money that's being spent. And what actually is being communicated versus actually what's happening are two different stories. And how that plays out, I don't know. But it's a concern right now. And you saw Senator Rand Paul with us last month to say, like, there needs to be more presence from the cannabis industry in Washington. So what does that tell you if he's going to that extent to keep the government shut down in comparison to cannabis? That's a real valid question that should have, everyone's attention right now, don't you think? Yeah. We'll leave it at that, everybody. David Benz, good to see you. We got lined up for later this week. Got anything going on Friday? So we got Verano next week. We've got Juicy next week. We got New Lake Capital
next week. New Lake next week. Leaf next week.
Man, we got
Terrascend next week. Canopy, either Friday or Monday.
Yep. Stepbrother Nature writes, Rand Paul is propping those players up.
He is, but he's also getting money from them all. I mean, Dan Conformer dug it up. He's got a pack that's coming directly from hemp players.
Yeah.
Not guys that are necessarily on the right side of the industry, guys that are big into the synthetic part of the industry. They are backing him now, and the hemp ban would completely kneecap their livelihood. So I can understand why Senator Paul is taking the tack that he's doing. It's all money and his constituents.
Yeah.
It's no surprise. I mean, we've learned exactly how the government works via the cannabis industry. And it is completely just manipulated by influence. And that is all thanks to the money that's sloshing around in the system.
How did we get here, huh? How do we get here?
Citizens United.
Yeah. All right. Anybody else got any more questions? If not, probably should have the live stream around 32, 33 minutes every single day, but we like to talk quite a bit, but it's relatively quiet day. But I think the big takeaway here today was just getting Burke on the call and making sure that we understood what was being communicated in PA. And I think the takeaway there is just another example as to how we need direction from Washington. But all in all, good conversations for them to have today, because when that opportunity does present itself, these are the days that they'll look back and say, okay, let's move. We
do. We just keep getting inaction from Washington.
Yeah, that's for sure. All right. Game. All our Canadian viewers, your Blue Jays, they seem to be a resilient gang of players.
They're your Blue Jays.
What's that? They're
not
my
your Blue Jays.
No. So I grew up 20 minutes from Detroit, and Detroit at one time was one of the biggest media markets in the US. So I came from a medium class family in the 80s, so I didn't have cable TV. So we watched everything out of Detroit. We listened to all the radio stations out of Detroit. I went to broadcasting school in Detroit. I don't know if anybody have heard of you ever come across a book called Tuesdays with Maury? It was written by Mitch Albom. He's been on David Letterman and a few others. There was I forget the movie. Yeah, there's a movie with Jack Lemmon based off of that. Yeah. No, I do not live in Toronto, David Benz. I did for 20 years, but moved back towards still in Canada, but like 20 minutes from the border. But anyway, I interned at a radio station in Detroit. But my God, Mitch Albom was phenomenal. Probably the smartest guy I've ever met in my life. Incredible writer. But but the whole reason, like I said.
Oh, and to Tom's point, the one thing that I did take away, Senator Paul's body language and his tone, I think that he genuinely believes that hemp ban could happen. It's a very real possibility that Andy Harris's ban does get passed in the CR.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with Tom. I do think that I would take the study and a nuanced approach to it over the totalitarian ban, because I think that that's just going to create a whole different can of worms that we're not going to want to deal with, and you're going to see the illicit market flourish. But his body language and his urgency towards the issue, it did lead me to believe that it is a very, very real possibility that CR passes with that language in it.
Good to know. Red Cider Farmer, Southeast Michigander, born and raised. Whereabouts, my friend? Good to hear from you. Tom Angel writes, we need nuance, fed hemp regs, but if choice now is Paul's, you read that word for word?
Yeah.
I know you talked about it, but I just wanted to read it word for word. I'll let it go. But yes, very good points. All right, that's it for now. Good luck tonight to all of our Canadian viewers watching the Jays and the Dodgers.
These games back to back to back?
Well, it's baseball. They don't have the one night over. They play the 2-3-2. But what do you make, by the way? I don't want to get off topic, but crazy some of the stuff that came down to the NBA with those gambling rings. Wow. You wonder.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why a guy that makes $200 million over his NBA career is doing $200,000 illegal poker games.
You guys should start a separate sports show. There's so many of them, Tom. I tried that a while back. Did not go anywhere. We actually went to Vegas for March Madness a couple years ago. Anthony, you were with me. We got a chance to meet Brent Musburger. He came into the studio, and he was watching March Madness. He had his hat on with his big black aviator glasses. And I go, "Hi, how are you?" And he goes, "Who the fuck are you?" Yep. He is God when it comes to broadcasting. But that's it for now. Yeah, Chauncey Billups, Trailblazers are toast. Good to have everybody.
We reached out to Village Farms to have them on for earnings.
I continue to try. I know their head of communications, Sam, was on his honeymoons. But yeah, wouldn't we love to have Michael DeJulio? I have tried a lot of times, but they are so busy. But man, that is one of the real good stories of the cannabis space here in 2025, is it not?
Yeah, Mike's a great guest.
Mike
guest. Always does. Mike does well every time he comes on.
Great guest, and even better team that they have in place. That was a lot of fun 13 months ago when we were out west with that team and got to meet all the guys from Holland as well. But yeah, keep your eye on Holland as well. I was doing a TDR Cannabis in 5, a recap of the international news in Holland, but they are making progress over there, and that bodes well for Village Farms on legalization efforts. And obviously the perception is that they've legalized across the country, which is not the case, just in coffee shops for a number of years. But now the country is making some advancements, and good to know. But we talked to the crew over at the Artemis Growth Partners with Will and Stanton, and they got a lot of great things to say about the growth. France as well, making big progress. I was talking to Stanton today about that. And I think there's some misconceptions about Germany and their whole telemedicine approach. Like, people think you're only going to be able to prescribe in person now, which is not the case. So we probably should have somebody back on from Germany just to get some clarification on what these next steps are with the government. And
the German government is like super nuanced, the way that they actually pass laws. So the law is there, but the parties still have to coalesce around it, which I'm pretty sure the party, the CDU and the SPD, the CDU's in power right now, who's more conservative. The SPD are the ones that implemented CanG to begin with. Yeah. And then you've got the far right party, that's the AFD, who are the minority party now. So the SPD had to coalesce around the CDU. No, the CDU had to coalesce around the SPD to create a functioning government. From what I've heard, there's no way that the SPD are going to agree to roll back the telemedicine law that they would have to coalesce around to get it implemented, that the CDU are proposing. They were like, we'll coalesce around you guys and get the government functioning, but CanG is pretty much untouchable in terms of the cannabis laws.
Which is good.
It's great.
Did you get all that? I hope there'll be a test tomorrow. But
I did a crash course in learning how the government, the German government functions.
Yes.
A couple of months back.
Guap writes, sorry if we recovered this, but what is the exact day and time that Trump is going to reschedule cannabis? Don't go there, Anthony. Do not go there. I know what you're going to say.
Veterans Day. Veterans Day.
All right, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you back here Friday at 11 a.m.
Veterans Day.
Yeah, exactly. Take care, everybody. Hey everyone, thanks again for watching here today. Listen, if you're getting value from us here at TDR, make sure to check us out at TDR Plus. It's our exclusive membership community. Why? Well, you'll see CEO interviews that go beyond business, showing a personal side that you won't find anywhere else, including the biggest names in the industry. Plus, you'll get insights from analysts and day traders on where the industry's headed, both short-term and long-term, and a direct chat group with our team. It's only $7 a month, just 25 cents a day, and it helps support everything we do here at TDR. If you want to join, just click the join button below and become a TDR Plus member today. And once again, a big thank you for being part of our community. So that's it for today. And again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.